My mother was still holding the pen when she smiled at my sister and said, "There, it's official. The lake house is yours." The notary slid the folder across the table. My sister laughed. My father clapped. I felt my chest cave in as I realized I was watching something irreversible happen, and no one had bothered to tell me. Then my sister looked straight at me and said, "You'll still be welcome. Just let us know before you come." Let them know. Before visiting the house where I'd spent every summer since I was 6, the house I'd repaired, maintained, and poured money into for 15 years. The words landed like a slap, but I didn't flinch. I just nodded, my face frozen in what I hoped looked like understanding. Inside, something fundamental was breaking apart. My sister turned back to my parents, already talking about renovation plans. They were discussing paint colors while I sat there, invisible. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet, efficient, and apparently already decided long before this moment. I realized then that I'd been cut out of my own family's future, and they expected me to smile about it. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I sat there nodding while my heartbeat pounded in my ears. The house behind them, the one I'd helped keep standing, felt suddenly very far away, like it had never been mine at all. My sister was already scrolling through her phone, showing my mother Pinterest boards. Beach house aesthetic, coastal grandmother vibes. None of it matched the cabin we'd grown up in, but that didn't seem to matter anymore. My father poured champagne, actual champagne, like this was a celebration. I accepted a glass because refusing would have caused questions. The bubbles felt sharp against my throat. "To family," my father said, raising his glass. Everyone clinked. I touched my glass to theirs and tasted nothing but the metallic flavor of shock. 20 minutes later, I was in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. The drive home took 2 hours. I don't remember a single mile. When I finally walked through my apartment door, I sat on the floor and let myself feel it. Not anger yet, just a hollow, expanding emptiness where my family used to be. That was the day my parents transferred the vacation house to my sister, and the day I learned exactly where I ranked in my own family. I'd always known Lauren was the favorite, the easy child, the one who called every Sunday, sent cards for every holiday, showed up to family dinners with wine and stories. I was the practical one, the one who fixed things. When the water heater broke, they called me. When the roof needed inspection, I handled it. When insurance paperwork piled up, I sorted through it. Being useful had felt like being valued. I'd confused the two my entire adult life. Now I understood the difference. Useful people get used. Valued people get the house. The distinction was crushing. I spent that first night looking through old photo albums, searching for proof that I'd mattered. Every picture told the same story. Lauren front and center, smiling effortlessly. Me slightly off to the side, mid-task, holding something or organizing something or fixing something. Always in the background. Always busy. Never quite in focus. I closed the albums and made myself a promise. I was done being invisible. My name is Evelyn Harper. I'm 41. White. American. I work in facilities management, contracts, compliance, access control, which meant I understood something before anyone else at that table did. Ownership means nothing without leverage. I had spent 2 decades learning how systems work, how buildings depend on infrastructure nobody sees, how property value hinges on access, utilities, and easements that most people never think about. My job was finding vulnerabilities in facility operations and fixing them before they became problems. I was good at it. Exceptional, actually. My company managed everything from office complexes to medical facilities to municipal buildings. I understood zoning laws, right-of-way agreements, utility frameworks, and emergency access protocols. I knew how a single locked gate could paralyze an entire operation. How one unsigned easement could halt construction worth millions. I had seen property disputes destroy partnerships and families. I'd watched people lose fortunes because they didn't understand what they actually controlled versus what they thought they owned. Lauren now owned a house, but I understood something she didn't. A house without proper access is just an expensive box, and access could be controlled by whoever owned the right piece of land. Years earlier, my parents had sat me down. "We can't afford the upkeep anymore," my dad said. "I'll help," I offered. "I'll manage repairs, vendors, insurance." My mother squeezed my hand. "This house stays in the family." I believed her. That conversation happened on a cold March afternoon, right after my father's heart surgery. They'd looked tired, overwhelmed by medical bills and property taxes. The lake house had been in our family for 30 years, but when my grandparents retired, it meant everything to them. I'd stepped up without hesitation, took over the maintenance schedule, negotiated with contractors, handled the property insurance renewals. When the dock rotted, I coordinated the replacement. When the septic system failed, I managed the upgrade. Every winter, I arranged snow removal. Every spring, I oversaw repairs. I kept spreadsheets. I tracked expenses. I turned the house from a burden into a well-maintained asset. My parents thanked me constantly those first few years. They told me I was saving the family legacy. I thought I was building my place in that legacy. I was wrong. I was just making it easier for them to give everything to Lauren. My sister Lauren never worried about details. Bills appeared and disappeared. Mistakes were forgiven. Help was automatic. I was the one who handled things. Reliable children don't get rewarded. They get relied on. Lauren lived 3 states away, visited twice a year, and called the house rustic, in a tone that suggested it needed upgrading. She never offered to help with maintenance, never asked about the budget, never questioned why the property stayed beautiful despite my parents' limited income. She just showed up, posted Instagram photos, and left. Meanwhile, I spent weekends caulking windows. I researched energy-efficient heating systems. I interviewed roofing contractors after every major storm. When the property taxes increased, I helped my parents refinance. When insurance premiums spiked, I shopped for better rates. I did this for 15 years, not because I expected ownership, because I loved that house and believed I was protecting something that mattered to all of us. But protection and ownership are different things. Lauren understood that instinctively. She didn't need to maintain the house. She just needed to be loved. And apparently, being loved was worth more than 15 years of work. 2 weeks after the signing, I asked for a copy of the deed. My mother hesitated. That pause told me everything. "Why do you need that?" she asked, her voice careful. "Just want to understand the arrangement," I said. "Maybe there's something about shared access or usage rights I should know about." Another pause. "It's pretty straightforward, honey. Lauren owns it now, but you're still family. That doesn't change." I kept my voice steady. "I'd still like to see it." The deed arrived by email 3 days later. I opened it in my office during lunch, door closed. The language was simple and absolute. The property, legally described as Lot 47, Pinewood Shore Subdivision, along with all structures, improvements, and appurtenances, was transferred entirely to Lauren Michelle Harper, sole owner. No conditions, no shared rights, no mention of the person who'd kept it standing. I read it 4 times, looking for something I'd missed. Some clause that acknowledged my contribution. Some requirement that Lauren maintain access for family. Nothing. Legally, I was a stranger. Someone who might be invited occasionally if I asked nicely. I printed the deed and filed it carefully. Then I opened county property records and started researching. The house was transferred solely to Lauren. No shared ownership. No usage agreement. No mention of me. I wasn't a stakeholder. I was an afterthought. The realization settled over me slowly, like cold water rising. Everything I'd invested, every weekend spent repairing and maintaining, every dollar I'd contributed, it all meant nothing legally. I had no claim, no protection, No guaranteed future with the place I'd treated as my own. I spent that evening calculating 15 years of maintenance, roughly $8,000 annually in direct costs I'd covered, another $5,000 yearly in my time, if I valued it at even minimum wage, close to $200,000 total, money I'd never expected back, but also never imagined would benefit someone who'd contributed nothing. The financial loss stung, but the emotional theft hurt worse. Every memory I had of that house was now contaminated. Every sunset on the dock, every morning coffee on the porch, every quiet moment I'd cherished, they all belonged to someone else now. Lauren could sell it tomorrow, turn it into a rental, demolish it. I'd have no say. The house where I'd scattered my grandmother's ashes, where I'd healed after my divorce, where I'd found peace during my darkest year, it wasn't mine to protect anymore. I drove up one weekend anyway. My key didn't work. A keypad flashed red. Lauren answered through the camera. "Oh, you should have asked first." I stared at the small screen mounted beside the door. My sister's face, pixelated slightly in the afternoon light. Asked. I repeated. "Yeah, I had the locks changed last week. Security upgrade. I'll text you the code, but just, check before coming up. I might have friends here, or whatever." The camera went dark. I stood there holding my old key, the one I'd carried for 20 years. It felt suddenly heavy, useless. A relic. The new keypad blinked, waiting for a code I didn't have. I walked back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and stared at the house. Same blue shutters I'd repainted 2 summers ago. Same porch I'd rebuilt 3 years back. Same everything. Except now I needed permission to enter. My phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. A 6-digit code followed by, "Sorry, should have mentioned the upgrade sooner. Make yourself at home." Make myself at home in a place where I needed her code to enter. The irony was suffocating. I started the car and drove back without going inside. For hours round trip to be locked out of my own memories. I confronted my parents calmly. "You cut me out." My father rubbed his temples. "You're making this bigger than it is." That's when I realized something worse than betrayal was happening. They expected me to accept it. We met for lunch at their request. Neutral ground. A quiet restaurant where raised voices would draw attention. My mother ordered soup. My father studied the menu too carefully. I waited. Finally, my mother spoke. "Lauren mentioned you seemed upset about the locks." "I'm upset about everything," I said quietly. "You gave away a house I maintained for 15 years without even discussing it with me." My father sighed. "We did what was best for the family. Lauren has kids. You don't. She needs the space more." "I helped pay for that space," I said, "for 15 years. My mother reached across the table. "And we're so grateful, sweetheart. But it was always our decision to make. We chose what felt right. What felt right. Not what was fair. Not what was earned. What felt right to them." I pulled my hand back. "You could have split it. Shared ownership. Something." My father's voice hardened. "We made our choice. You need to respect that." There it was. The expectation. Respect their choice. Accept my erasure. Move on. They wanted me to make this easy for them. That winter, a storm tore through the dock. Lauren called crying. I coordinated emergency repairs, saved thousands in damage. 2 days later, she texted, "Please don't make decisions without checking with me." That was the last time I helped. The storm hit in January. 70-mile winds, freezing rain, flooding along the shoreline. Lauren called me at 6 in the morning, panicked. "The dock's destroyed. There's debris everywhere. I don't know what to do." Old habits kicked in. I called the marine contractor I'd used for years, arranged emergency assessment and temporary repairs. I contacted insurance, filed the claim, managed the whole process. The contractor worked fast, By the end of the week, the dock was stabilized and the insurance claim was moving forward. Total saved in emergency fees and water damage? About $12,000. Lauren texted thanks, then added, "Next time maybe run big decisions by me first? It's my property now, so I should approve contractors and stuff." I read that message 3 times. I just saved her $12,000 and she was concerned about approval protocols. I typed and deleted 4 different responses. Finally sent back, "Understood." That was the moment something inside me calcified. No more automatic help. No more stepping in. She wanted control. She could have it completely. I pulled county property records late one night, and that's when I saw it. A narrow strip of land bordering the only access road. Utilities crossed it. Maintenance depended on it. Unremarkable. Unclaimed. I was drinking tea, laptop open, going through public records more out of habit than planning. I knew the area around the lake house intimately, had studied maps during various renovation projects, but I'd never looked at the complete property survey with hostile eyes before. The lake house sat on Lot 47. Beautiful waterfront, 2 acres. But access came from County Road 16, which dead-ended at a cluster of properties. And between that road and the houses, including Lauren's, was Lot 46, a strange, narrow parcel. 1/4 acre, maybe less. Technically landlocked on 3 sides, fronting the county road on the 4th. Looked useless on paper, but the utility easements told a different story. Power lines crossed it. Water mains ran beneath it. The access road that served all the lakefront properties, including Lot 47, was maintained across Lot 40 SAXS frontage. Somehow, this critical piece of land had never been absorbed into the surrounding lots. It sat there unclaimed, owned by some LLC I didn't recognize. I checked the tax records. 3 years delinquent. Foreclosure pending. My pulse quickened. This was it. Not revenge. Leverage. I didn't feel angry. I felt clear. I made an offer through an LLC. No drama. No warning. I spent the next week researching. The land was owned by a dissolved development company. No heirs, no active management. The county was moving toward tax foreclosure, but slowly. I called a real estate attorney I'd worked with professionally. Explained I wanted to purchase a delinquent property through a limited liability company. Clean, anonymous. He didn't ask why. 2 days later, I had an LLC registered. Harper Facility Holdings. Generic enough to be invisible. We made an offer to the county. Full back taxes plus 20%. For a useless 1/4 acre, it was generous. The county accepted within a week. My attorney handled everything. No public announcement. No family notification. Just quiet paperwork and a wire transfer. Total cost? $48,000. Every penny of my savings. But I wasn't buying land. I was buying options. Control. The ability to protect myself. The closing happened on a Thursday. I signed documents in my attorney's office and walked out owning the one thing Lauren's deed couldn't touch. The way in and the way out. 30 days later, the land was mine. Not the house. Something more important. The deed arrived by certified mail. I held it, feeling its weight. Lot 46, Pinewood Shores, with all easements, rights, and appurtenances. The legal description meant nothing to most people, but I understood exactly what I owned. I controlled the access road maintenance agreement. The utility easements crossed my property, requiring my consent for any modifications. The snow removal service needed permission to cross my land to reach the lakefront properties. Even the fire department's emergency access route touched my parcel. I didn't own Lauren's view. I owned her infrastructure, her connection to the outside world, the invisible systems that made her house functional. And legally, I could manage those systems however I wanted. I wasn't planning destruction. I was planning boundaries. Fair boundaries. The kind my family should have given me. I filed the deed carefully, then pulled out the county's access and maintenance agreements. Started reading, taking notes, understanding exactly what I could and couldn't do. Knowledge was power, and I was planning to use every bit I had. I didn't buy scenery. I bought road access, utility easements, maintenance approval. The things people only notice when they're gone. Most people don't think about infrastructure. They flip switches and lights turn on. Turn taps and water flows. Drive home and the road is just there. But every system has pressure points. Control those points and you control the system. The access road agreement required annual renewal. The property owners paid a shared maintenance fee, and the county handled snow plowing and grading. But the agreement specifically stated that passage across Lot 46 was permissive and subject to owner approval. The utility easements were permanent, but modifications required landowner consent. Want to upgrade power lines? Needed my signature. Want to install fiber optic cable? Needed my approval. Want to replace the aging water main? I'd need to review the plans. The snow removal contract came up for renewal in March. The company would need explicit permission to cross my property. Without it, they'd have to approach the lakefront houses from the waterside. Possible in summer, impossible in winter. I wasn't planning to deny everything. That would be petty and probably illegal. But I was planning to make everything require process. Paperwork. Approval. The same way Lauren now required me to ask permission to visit my own memories. Lauren called in March. The plow company says they can't service the road. I checked my calendar. They'll need my approval, I said. Her voice was confused, slightly annoyed. Approval for what? They've been plowing that road for 20 years. The road crosses property I own now, I explained calmly. They need a formal agreement to access it. Standard procedure. Silence. Then, what property? Lot 46. I purchased it a few months ago. I could hear her processing. Why would you buy some random lot? Investment opportunity, I said. Seemed like a good price. Another pause. Okay, well, can you just tell them it's fine? We need the road plowed. I'll need to review their insurance, make sure they have proper coverage. Liability issues, you know. I'll get back to them within a few weeks. Weeks? Evelyn, it's March. We still get storms. I understand. I'll move as quickly as I can. It's just important to handle these things properly. I kept my voice professional, reasonable, the tone I'd use with any property matter. This is crazy, she said, frustration building. You're making this complicated for no reason. Just following standard protocols, I replied. I'll be in touch. I hung up before she could argue further. The plow company had already sent me their insurance information. Everything was in order. I'd approve them, just not immediately. Not without making Lauren understand that access requires cooperation. My father called next. Why does the utility company need your signature? Because they crossed my land. He went quiet. The power company called, he said without preamble. Said they need property owner consent for some maintenance work. They mentioned Lot 46. What's going on? I'd been expecting this. I own that property. Any utility work crossing it requires my approval. Standard easement protocol. You bought property at the lake? His voice rose. When? Why didn't you tell us? Same reason nobody told me about transferring the house, I said quietly. It was my decision to make. Silence stretched between us. This is petty, Evelyn. This is property management, I corrected. I'm handling my asset the same way you handled yours. Making decisions, I think, are best. You're punishing your sister. I'm protecting my interests, I said. If approvals seem slow or complicated, well, that's just how these processes work. Lots of paperwork. Liability concerns. I'm sure you understand. My father's breathing was heavy on the line. Your mother is very upset about this. I'm sorry she's upset, I said. And I meant it. I didn't want to hurt my mother, but I was done being hurt myself. Will you approve the utility work? He asked finally. Once I've reviewed everything properly. Could be a few days. Could be longer. Depends on the complexity. He hung up without saying goodbye. We met at the lake. Lauren's face was red. What did you do? I handed her the documents. I bought the adjacent property, I said, and I manage access now. My whole family was there. Parents, sister, even Lauren's husband looking uncomfortable in the corner. They'd coordinated this. An intervention. Lauren stood in the middle of the living room, my living room for 20 years, and glared at me. You're sabotaging my property. I'm managing my own, I corrected. There's a difference. My mother looked near tears. Why are you doing this? Because I spent 15 years maintaining this house, I said calmly, and you gave it away without even consulting me. Now I'm making sure I have some say in what happens here. You have no say, Lauren snapped. I own this house. And I own the access to it, I replied. Turns out ownership is complicated. My father stepped forward. This is manipulative. You're holding the property hostage. I'm requiring proper process, I said. Applications, reviews, approvals. The same way Lauren now requires me to request permission to visit. I'm just extending that courtesy to infrastructure. I placed the property documents on the table. Survey maps, easement agreements, access protocols, everything official and legal. I'm not blocking anything permanently, I continued. I'm just making sure everything is done properly, with respect and acknowledgement. They called me petty, vindictive, cruel. I listened until they finished, then said, You taught me the rules. I just followed them. This isn't what family does, my mother said, her voice breaking. You're right, I agreed. Family doesn't erase each other. Family doesn't take without acknowledging. Family doesn't make you ask permission to access your own history. But here we are. Lauren's husband finally spoke. You're making everything difficult because you're hurt. We get it, but this isn't solving anything. I looked at him directly. I'm not trying to solve anything. I'm creating boundaries. Clear ones. Legal ones. The kind I should have had from the beginning. My father shook his head. You're being unreasonable. I'm being exactly as reasonable as you were, I said. You made a unilateral decision about property. So did I. You didn't consult me. I didn't consult you. Seems fair. It's not the same, Lauren argued. It's exactly the same, I replied. You wanted full control of the house. Now you have it. I wanted some control of my own. Now I have it. We both got what we wanted. The room went quiet. So what now? My father asked finally. Now you work with me, I said simply. Applications get reviewed. Approvals get processed. Everything goes through proper channels. Just like I have to go through Lauren to visit. You go through me to maintain. No snow removal without contracts. No dock repairs without permits. No rentals without compliance. Everything legal. Everything slow. I wasn't blocking anything outright. That would have been illegal. The easements were real, the access agreements enforceable. But I was exercising every right I had. The snow removal company got approved after a 6-week review. The utility maintenance happened after extensive documentation. The dock repair Lauren wanted required county permits anyway, and I made sure the permit applications were complete and accurate, which took time. Lots of time. Every request came to me, formally. I reviewed everything thoroughly, asked for additional documentation, requested clarification, required proper insurance, licensing, bonding. Everything legitimate. Everything justified. Everything maddeningly slow. Lauren tried to rent the house that summer. Short-term vacation rental. Good income potential. But the county required verification of adequate emergency access, which meant my signature confirming the access road met emergency vehicle standards. I requested a formal survey. asked for updated fire department inspection, required proof of liability coverage. All reasonable requests. All time-consuming. The rental listing went up 3 months late. Lost the prime booking season. Lauren tried to refinance. The bank flagged access limitations. Her loan stalled. For the first time, she sounded scared. She called me in September, voice tight. The bank won't approve my refinance. They're saying there are access issues with the property. What did you tell them? Nothing, I said honestly. I don't talk to your bank. They said the title search showed complicated easement situations. Access contingent on third-party approval. It's killing my application. I'd expected this. Property with disputed or contingent access always created financing problems. Banks didn't like uncertainties. That's just the reality of your property situation, I explained. The access crosses land I own. It's in the public record. Your bank is just doing due diligence. Can you fix it? Fix what? I asked. The access is functional. You can reach your house. It's just managed through proper channels now. Proper channels that you control. Yes, I agreed. The same way you control access to the house itself. We both have things we manage now. Her breathing was shaky. I might lose the refinance. I was counting on that money. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and part of me meant it. I didn't want to destroy Lauren financially. I just wanted her to understand what she'd taken. What do you want? She asked finally. I want fair treatment, I said. Recognition. Respect. The things I should have had from the beginning. She tried to sell. Buyers walked. The price dropped. Property taxes rose. The house she won became a weight. By November, Lauren had listed the property. I saw the listing online. Beautiful photos. Waterfront. Sunset views. Renovated interior. Premium price. And in the detailed disclosures, the problem. Access via private road subject to easement and third-party approvals. Buyer responsible for verification of access rights. 3 potential buyers requested property information. All 3 asked about the access situation. Their attorneys reviewed the easements and advised caution. 1 offer came in, 40% below asking. Contingent on resolving the access complications. Lauren didn't accept. She couldn't afford to. The price dropped twice more. The house sat empty through winter. Property taxes came due. Then insurance. The expenses that had seemed manageable when the house was an asset felt crushing when it became unsellable. Lauren called less frequently now. When she did, her voice carried a defeat I'd never heard before. The golden child was learning what burden felt like. What it meant to own something you couldn't control. What it felt like to be trapped. She called me late one night. I can't do this anymore. Her voice was small. It was past 11. I almost didn't answer, but something in the repeated ringing felt desperate. Evelyn. She was crying. I can't do this anymore. I waited. The house is killing me. The taxes, the maintenance, the stress. I thought it would be this amazing asset. It's just a weight. I'm sorry, I said quietly. I never wanted the house to hurt you. I know you didn't want this to happen, she said, voice breaking. I know I screwed up. We all did. I shouldn't have accepted it the way I did. I should have fought for you. I should have insisted we share it. This was the first acknowledgement, the first real apology. Why didn't you? I asked, not angry, just curious. Because it was easier not to, she admitted. You were always the capable one, the one who handled things. It was easy to let you handle everything and then accept the reward. I see that now. I'm sorry. The words settled between us. Not fixing anything, but acknowledging everything. What do you want to do? I asked. I don't know, she whispered. Make this right somehow, if that's even possible. We met with lawyers. The house went into a shared trust, equal access, clear boundaries. My parents signed. Lauren didn't argue. It took 3 months to structure properly. My attorney worked with Lauren's to create a family trust. The house went into it. Lauren and I, equal beneficiaries, clear usage schedules, shared maintenance responsibilities, documented financial contributions. Everything we should have had from the beginning. My parents attended the signing. They looked older somehow. Tired. My mother cried. Not dramatically. Just quiet tears while the lawyers explained the terms. My father signed where indicated, didn't meet my eyes. Lauren signed steadily. When it was done, she looked at me. Thank you for not destroying this completely. You could have. I didn't want destruction, I said. I just wanted fairness. You got it, she acknowledged. Finally. We filed the paperwork that afternoon. The house was protected now, not by tradition or promises, by legal structure, clear boundaries, enforceable rights. The access easement across my property became permanent, recorded, guaranteed. In exchange, my ownership stake in the house was equally permanent, protected. We both gave up total control, and both gained real security. Last summer, I sat alone on the dock at sunrise. No locks, no permission, no apologies. I didn't take anything from my sister. I stopped giving everything away. The morning was cool and quiet, lake smooth as glass. I'd driven up the night before, let myself in with the access code we now both shared. The house felt different. Not better or worse. Just different. Lauren had made changes. New furniture. Different colors. Her mark on the space. But my grandmother's quilt still hung in the guest room. My mark remained too. I walked down to the dock, carrying coffee, and watched the sun break over the eastern shore. Same view I'd watched for 30 years. Same peace, but earned differently now. Not through silent sacrifice, through boundaries. I heard footsteps behind me. Lauren, also carrying coffee. Didn't know you were here, she said. Checked the calendar, I replied. It's my weekend. She sat down beside me. We'd done this 1,000 times as kids. Feet dangling off the dock, watching the water. It's different now, isn't it? She asked. Yeah, I agreed. It is. Better or worse? I thought about it. More honest, I said finally. More fair. She nodded. I'm sorry it took all this to get here. Me too, I said, and meant it. And sometimes the strongest revenge isn't taking something back. It's finally building a life where no one gets to lock you out again. People asked me later if I regretted it. The conflict, the legal battles, the family pain. I told them the truth. I regretted that it was necessary, but I didn't regret doing it. Because I learned something crucial through all of it. Your worth isn't measured by how much you sacrifice. It's measured by how well you protect what matters. I'd spent 40 years being the reliable one. The one who fixed things quietly and expected nothing. That version of me would have accepted the lake house situation, swallowed the hurt, kept helping, and slowly disappeared. But the woman I became understood leverage. Understood that sometimes love requires boundaries. That family should be built on fairness, not just obligation. The lake house sits there still. Lauren uses it more than I do. Has bigger gatherings. More visitors. But when I want to go, I go. No asking. No explaining. No apologizing. And that freedom, that simple right to access my own history without permission, that was worth everything it cost. Sometimes the strongest revenge isn't destruction. It's refusing to be erased. It's building a life where your value isn't determined by how much you give away, where boundaries protect instead of punish, where fairness isn't a favor, it's a foundation. The lake looks the same as it always did, but I see it differently now, not as something I might lose, as something I finally legally equally own.